In my hands is the refreshed Cathay World Elite MasterCard by Synchrony Bank. And in this video, I'm going to be going over exactly why it's refreshed, but I don't care, and I'm actually going to cancel it. If you're thinking about getting this card, in this video, I'll be telling you why I've had this card now the second time, and after this refresh, there's literally not a good enough reason for me to keep it, but it may be for you, and I'll go into specific reasonings of those folks where this card actually makes sense, and for folks that it really doesn't make sense for many of us. When it comes to Cathay Pacific, they earn Asia Miles. And Asia Miles are basically a way for you to fly not just to Hong Kong, which is the headquarters for Cathay Pacific, but there's partner airlines within the One World Alliance where you can book, let's say, American airline flights or British Airway flights through Cathay's program. So these Asia Miles are basically giving us the opportunity to then book not just specifically Cathay's flights, but other partner airlines. And in terms of the actual value of the miles that this program has, it's anywhere between, if you just Google it, like 1.2 to 1.5 cents per point, which in English means, let's say 10,000 miles will give you around 120 to $150 worth of value. At the same time, if you redeem for business and first class, forget about like one or two, you can get a lot more value, but it just depends on your redemption. And the other way to look at it is, would you actually spend cash out of pocket to book the same flight? In other words, if I say, hey, I got 20 cents per point, where maybe it's a $20,000 flight for 100,000 miles, right? If you look at that example, then like that's cool. But would I ever spend $20,000 cash for this flight? Probably or probably not. If it's me personally, probably not ever in my life, even if I had the money, just a personal choice. So with that context, the sign-up bonus is worth roughly, let's say, $500. And although that's great, 500 divided by $3,000 around 16 point change percent, at the same time, it has an annual fee of $99. So after year one, what is the value with this card? Where is it even worth to keep it after the first year, or even year two or year three, and so on and so forth? So let's take a deeper dive. With this card, we're looking at 3 Asia miles earned per dollar spent on Hong Kong Express flights and Cathay Pacific flights. We're also looking at 2 Asia miles per dollar spent on dining as well as dining delivery services like Uber Eats, Grubhub, Postmates, etc. And apart from that, we're looking at 1x everywhere else. So at a very high level, you're getting basically 3x on the actual flights, 2x on dining and dining delivery services, and 1x everywhere else. Feels like I'm repeating myself, but nothing's changing. And the reason that is because apart from this, with this annual fee, these are kind of the benefits we're looking at with this card, but the earn rate pretty much stops right there. The first is priority boarding, where basically we're going to get the same boarding class as if you're a premium economy traveler. And aside from that, you can redeem your miles to get access to their business class lounge. The following 3 aren't great benefits, but they're essentially a 10% discount on fees when you're transferring your miles from one account to another or gifting said miles, and then no foreign transaction fees with the $99 annual fee I would expect this card to come with it. Although Asia Miles sound like, hey, they're meant for redeeming only for flights, typically speaking, their whole program, with this card, you get a 10% discount when you're redeeming said miles for hotels, rental cars, as well as experiences. And on a similar note of having discounts on fees that you were going to pay, where fees are like made up in the first place, you have this 15% discount when you book specific fare classes on Cathay Pacific and use your card by the end of 2025, which again, it's cool, right? But this goes with the assumption that you're actually booking Cathay flights specifically, that too, within this time frame, and it just makes sense within that select fare class. So when you break that all down, unless you really have a use case, it's cool, like an incentive offer, but is it great is going to be a personal scenario. In my opinion, the most valuable reason to even have this card is if you're genuinely flying Cathay Pacific, there's a feature with this card where you can earn points towards status. The main reason to have this card is if you're genuinely flying Cathay Pacific every so often, or even more ideally, because with this card, you'll be earning 10 status points per dollar spent, which in terms of their actual status chart, the level of green is just you sign up, you get it for free. Then you have silver, gold, and then their highest tier. What we truly need to know here is that we can earn those 10 points per dollar spent, but it's going to be 10 points for every $5,000 we spend, and it's going to max out up to 100 points earned per year. In other words, up to 50K in spend, we could get 100 points, but at 100 points, it will help us get, let's say, from green to silver But even for silver, you'll need 300 points to genuinely have that level of status. The two things I really want to mention here is that making this video, I basically learned a lot about fair classes, where fair classes are essentially a certain code which denotes, let's say, hey, is this seat, refundable or not refundable? Is this eligible for an upgrade? Let's say you bought it a certain way, not, let's say, directly through the airline. So there may be some fare restrictions with, a said booking. And so that really affects, are you going to be eligible to earn the most, points towards level of status? Or is it a type of flight where, oh, okay, you're only going to get, let's say, 50% worth of points towards status or some other variation? For example, if you actually book a code share flight, so in other words, this One World Alliance with Cathay Pacific, you could book like an American Airlines flight or British Airways. If you book those, then even those are its own type of fare class where it has its own denomination of, hey, if you do this and a certain type of route, this is how many miles you'll earn. So Asia miles to be spent on these like experiences, hotels, or other future reward flights, but also how many status points, in other words, how many points towards a next level of status you'd actually earn. So far, we know what this card's basically about. Now, is it the best card for you or me? It seems pretty specific, but I will say that the biggest thing you need to know of why this card, whether it's refreshed or not, the reason I'm looking to cancel it is because, yeah, the intro offer, sure, it's great. But the running value, in terms of how much value am I getting in the long term, the truth is, it's not about this card. It's not its fault. It's just the fact that there's other cards in the market which earn variable currency. So, for example, American Express with like the Amex Gold, you get 4x points per dollar spent on, let's say, dining and groceries, up to certain limits of spend per year. But the point being that Cathay Pacific slash like Asia Miles as a program is a transfer partner with American Express. And the Amex Gold at the time of recording has a $325 annual fee. So 325 versus 99 to have this increased earn rate. Is it really worth it or not? Maybe it's not, right? So that's one way to put it. At the same time, cities, thank you points, they also transfer to Asia Miles' program. Now, can you do this with having a no annual fee option of card? Not necessarily. And similarly, when you look at the built MasterCard, that is an example where it has no annual fee and it has Asia Miles as a transfer partner. So a different way to put it is you still have that stellar earn rate of 3x points with the build card per dollar spent on dining. But you can do this where you can redeem for Asia Miles, or you can use your build points for literally any other partner out there. So the headline here being you don't really need this Cathay Pacific card to do whatever you're thinking about, because you could probably earn the same Asia miles in terms of currency to redeem for flights if that's what you're looking for. A lot of other ways and different variations and different setups. And flexibility to me is king, where, hey, you're earning all of these flexible currency points and they can be redeemed in a myriad of ways. But you also don't need to say to yourself, like, all right, well, I can put this big purchase on this Cathay Pacific card and I'll earn X amount of Asia miles, and then I can use this to do some other step, because there's no logic in that. It's like you don't even need this card if your true use case is earning miles. But if you care about status, then maybe this helps. But again, depending on what level of status, it's not going to be like, hey, you can ride your way all the way up to the highest tier. It's really not like that. It will just give you a little nice, chunk of boost. And to me, honestly speaking, like spending on the card, unless you have organic spend, if you're just spending, 10 status points after 5K in spend just to get that, I don't know if it's really worth it, but maybe to some it is. There's obviously a lot of cards in the market. And I would say, in my opinion, there's a lot of better cards than this one. And for me at this time of recording, I have over 50 plus credit cards, and I'm not the master, but I've learned a lot coming this far. So with that said, there is a link in the description below to meet one-on-one. It's absolutely free, just a 15-minute chat one-on-one. Happy to help you, but also selfishly get some input of, what are the problems that folks are going through now, which I can help share solutions on the channel. So with that, if you came to the end, thank you. Subscribe, like, all the things, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.